I'll tell you, I kind of thought about what I was going to do today. You know, we got this great start, and of course you've already seen it. It's on the easel, and I have the small pochade that I used as a model to get to this point. But I was very concerned. How do we go on next? Because Lori gives the excellent opportunity to, if you don't finish today, you can finish Monday. So that gave a lead. But in between times, I had one of these paintings of Mission Creek that I had done before, and I did some things on it that I quite liked, and I will show it to you at the end. But anyway, when I got up this morning, I have a little devotional and prayer time and so on, but I was reading this one book by Russell M. Nelson. He is currently the prophet in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Church. And before he was ever a prophet, years ago, he was a great heart specialist. But it came at a time when they were just, thanks to him, they even considered open heart surgery and transplanting hearts and so on like that. And here I gathered a few comments. One, it says, it was very fearful time and kind of a step at a time. Each operation, a skirmish with terror, face to face with the unknown. Limitations without, limitations with our ignorance. I don't know what that meant. Learning little by little. In other words, you're willing to go ahead and experiment and so on. Leave behind specters of fear, chance, and disaster. I absolutely love that. And that really inspired me for going on towards today, what I'd been thinking about. So let me turn this over to the screen. There we are, right there. And I looked at this, and even this morning, I put some magic clear on the whole picture, and I was thinking, gosh, this is kind of rather beautiful, but I have plans. And here's what my plans are. I'm going to put on a, I'll put this over to this side. I'm going to put on what we call a mud pack. A mud pack is something that has white in it. If I put on a glaze, we sometimes call it a Saturday night bath, that is just a color without any white in it. But the mud pack has white. I'm going to put this over the whole canvas. It's going to be a little surprising, 4 ultramarine blue and 1 white. So I'll put it on, and then I'll kind of work with it a little bit, and then I'll work into it. So here we go. 4 blue and 1 white, Lynn. Where do we start? Doesn't matter, be brave. Oh, Buck, what are you doing? I'm doing mud pack. And I'll push this around, and then I'll wipe some off here and there, for instance, on the bridge area if it's a little strong. This is exciting because it's new. After reading the book on Nelson, put fear aside. Somebody will say, I like it the way it is. I mean, after I do this, don't work any further. Oh, I look over at the monitor, and that hand is moving pretty fast. So we're over everything. And then to make sure that it's not too thick and maybe covers a little more evenly, I'll take and wipe. And I'm not wiping hard because I don't want to get down to what it was. If you have any questions, don't ask them. No. It's nice to be ambidextrous. Use a little bit of the left hand to do it as well. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll establish the sky first. I hadn't planned to do that, but I'm going to do it. And then when I have anything that needs to touch against the sky, it'll have the wet sky to blend into. So we'll take yellow, ochre, and white. So I'm taking a pretty good chunk of white and yellow ochre. You're about 1/10. Let's see if that's enough. Oh my gosh, it is. There may have been a little of the ochre on the knife after bringing it over. So I'm going to go a little lighter. You could say 12 white and 1 yellow ochre. Yeah, I even need to have more. So that's 14 white and 1 yellow ochre. And I'll use the same fan brush that I'd placed this on with earlier, the swish. So I cleaned it, and then I'm taking the corner of the fan brush. I really like the corner of the fan brush to kind of lead the way. Oh, I like that. Okay, so the lightest light is sort of towards the upper right. And when I go around like I'm going, you can see that I leave just a little bit, sort of a suggestion of little leaves on there without even adding them, but we will add some more. We'll come down to the bridge. We'll come over this way. And I'll soften that. This really is what kind of painting would you call this? Kind of impressionistic, I think. I heard a noise on the computer and I thought, oh no, am I still there? I don't want to come down too far with that, but in coming down, I'm going to just soften across that pilings underneath there a little bit. We'll put some other color in there too, so I'm being a little scant on the quantity. One thing at the end, if Tim is still with us, you could look over his shoulder at a couple of those nice paintings. He's got one of Marilyn Monroe, and he's got one of Muhammad Ali, and then the little fellow who was in the wheelchair, motivational speaker. Oh gosh, he was good. Okay, let's see. Any place else on this? Not yet. Let's call that enough. Let's go just a little closer. This will give us a little longer reach by that branch. Okay, so now I'm going to come with the next color, and this is going to be pure. No, it isn't either. I was thinking of going pure ultramarine blue, but I think I'll hold off on that a little bit till I put the background in there. So the green behind there, 2 sap green, 1 phthalo blue, 2 yellow, 1 white. Boy, I hope you got that. 2 sap green, 1 phthalo blue, 2 cad yellow, 1 white. Oh, I have some already mixed. Very advantageous. That's what it looks like. And I'm going to come out. Notice when I started there, I didn't go to the edge and I didn't go clear to the left. So I have an opportunity to blend both directions. Now I'm starting to blend out here. with less paint on the brush. And I keep wiping, so I'm only using the edge of it. Good job, Buck. Thank you. All right, what about underneath? Little bit in there, a little bit there. Yes, that it's just enough. So the light underneath is not quite as strong as up above. In fact, I'll even come here just a little bit so that we keep focus right where it belongs. Okay, so we put the green on there. We'll put a little bit down here. And I really like this one because it becomes a foil for the dark tree behind it, touching against it. And it's just a strategic little place. Now, as I do this, I have my painting up above me that has been done this way, that I experimented with and it worked. So Prophet Nelson, I had heart surgery and it was a success. And it's sitting over by some of the heart failures. You almost have a heart failure when you try something new, especially before an audience of brilliant purveyors. That word just came to me. I don't know what purveyor means. Okay, down there, and we'll be using some of this on the other side, but I'm sort of staying on this side first. And what I want to do there is come with pure ultramarine blue. And when I put this on, Danielle, the way you do the tops in your trees is so beautiful. Gee, I love it. And then after I do this, you could say, well, Buck, that's not quite the way I do it. Doesn't matter. Give me inspiration. Now, it was already quite dark behind there. This is just making the color a little harmonious, more harmonious. And it'll come out just a little bit with those edges. This is different than a football game where you say, okay, it's halftime. Now you can come back out on the field. Gee, we're on the field. We're ready to play right through the whole game. I don't know if any sports do that. Does soccer? I don't think so. Okay, now I'm down here and I want to come with some of this blue over here. And I'll continue under the bridge with that blue. That's what I really like about this is when I put it on there and I'll soften it a little bit, but you have a feeling of perspective. You go back and there's something happening there, just a little bit more with that light blue and eventually the sky. So it does help on giving perspective. This one comes across pretty much there. Now let's just say that I put too much on there. I can always come back with a little bit of the green and push there too. So any step is not the final. You have the privilege going back and working them up further. I need to take a paper towel. I have this funny feeling that I put some smudge on my face as I went to the bridge. Okay, come down, come down, come down. Oh. And I like the aspect of after it's on, because everything's wet. So after it's on, if I can soften a little bit as I do it, the edges, or you can sharpen them. Let's say that you want to sharpen one, then I can put just a little bit of character in there with the blue. Tim and I were in a booth. It was a church booth. I don't know. they were raising money for the needy, and we were down, and we were I had a booth where I do quick sketches, kind of a cyclops, where one face, part of the face would all be in shadow, and the other side I'd work up. But Tim was there too, and he was doing it was so great. I was so proud of him. Okay, now let's come under the rocks first. This is still with the blue.
Now that wasn't last week, was it? That was like 1967, as I recall.
Something like that. That meant you were 5 years old. No, I came back from Canada to accept a position in Santa Barbara Recreation Department, and I stopped at the hospital. It was 20 miles from where we were living, saw Tim and my wife, and drove on. Oof, what a great experience that was. You see how I did that now? I put some dark under there and then pull this around. I'm going to go just a little darker right in here and then just under there. See, if I keep telling Tim jokes, then I know he's still watching and not out playing basketball or something. Oh, this is nice. I like where I can kind of pull this down and you get a subtle reflection without being too concerned there. Okay, now while we're over on that side, I'll take just a little more of the green, and I'm taking this green, and I'm going to come down and just spot a little bit here and there. Okay, now let's come with the next one. And what we'll do on that is I have umber and white. Let's see what we, 2 burnt umber, 1 purple, and 2 white. There we are right here. And this is going to go on the rocks. Now this is a major rock right here, so we'll put that one in first. I almost wish, and I can soften it with a fan brush, that I didn't use quite as much paint there, so that when I put these on, I can kind of go just a little more watching the value of what's happening. And a little in the distance. Remember how definite and hard those were when we first started? I think we have pictures, don't we, Lori, of what it looked like before today?
We do, I hope.
Tim, I want you to hear this. Lori, I love you. I think they all knew that anyway. Okay, down here, there's another rock. And then this one out here. And I will blend these in just a minute, but let's put this in. That's a good one. Okay, I kind of feel now would be a good time. First, I'll blend those rocks as I suggested, and we'll just soften those a little bit. Let's just say I didn't want that quite as light. I'll take, let's see, what should I take? Purple? No, I'm gonna take a little green and just touch into it too. So it just disguises it, but it doesn't lose its position vitality. And while I'm there, I realize the green actually goes up past it a little bit. So that's good. Thanks for the direction. I have promptings all the time, and I attribute them to Claude Buck being near me. I think his responsibility in the next life where he is at now is help Buck. And I hope he's not saying, well, it'd be easier if he were right by me. It won't be too long, Claude. Ugh. Let's go down in the corner with just a little umber. Where did you get that from? I don't know. I'm going to change it. I'm going to use blue. I want to be kind of unified with that blue. I don't mind the umber being part of it, but don't take over umber. And these have just a little cast shadow from the rocks. What are you? Oh, you're part of a rock too. I like that. That kind of swings out and leads you towards the center there. Okay, now let's do this. Let's go ahead and put some of the light in the middle. When I do this, I'm looking at, oh, I see a mole stick. There is my lightest light, come straight down. See, I don't have to hit it over here. That's all right. But when I come down there, I want to make sure that the light has traveled in a straight line. So I'll take a fan brush and naturally, and a little bit of the light. When I do it, I'll start down here so I get some of the paint off the brush. So when I get there, it's like that. Coming out from the edges of the rocks. Pardon me. Let's see, that goes in there. We'll probably be using a palette knife to put just a little bit more on too. Well, let's use the palette now. Okay.
Hey, Buck, will you go ahead and rotate your camera back a little bit towards Claude?
Oh yeah, what happened? Who did that?
The mall stick, I think.
Oh, is that all right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
It's nice to be called perfect. Here's the quantity. Water reflects highlights. Okay, now I'm going to go over with, let's see, I'm got the paint underneath the, what do we call it? The mud pack should be in effect there. If it isn't, I'll put just a little paint on my knife, the bottom of the knife, and I'm pushing around like that. Here we have enough paint to bring it out a ways, both sides. Oh, you get such a feeling of rightness. And down by that rock and over here. Now I'm going to take a fan brush. Let's see, that's just been using that fan brush. We'll use you more. I'm going to blend this a little bit into more softness. It sounds like it's dinner time for a dog downstairs. Ugh. Next time you come, Tim, take the dog with you. It's another way of saying take mom with you, because she wouldn't leave without the dog. Okay, after I do this, which I've done, I want to have a little blue on the brush, and I'm using that first color, the mud pack color, and pulling it back in from the sides so it isn't quite as light on each side. And once in a while, I would do even this, take a little bit of the blue, ultramarine blue, and we can have just just a little bit of action in the water. I'll let that set, but my intention would be to just blend that a little bit too. And we want to have just a little cast shadow from that rock, which needs to have some work done on it in a minute. Okay. I don't dare yell down and say, be quiet. Okay, so let's take our burnt umber. And I have, excuse me. No, that's what I want, burnt umber. And I have a flat brush, the Alexander Flat Sable brush. You that have used it know how good it is. Oh. And I'm going to take some pure blue, which is just a little darker than the umber, and will give me a nice happening there. Let's go a little darker just on that corner like that. We're not signing off on the rocks yet. Why not? Because I don't think I'm finished. That's why. Okay, let's come over to the left, and that would be the other left. And I'll start with some of the ultramarine blue again, and we'll come in and make a few places of darker darks. I'll put that on, and then we'll blend them into being correct. A little bit more there, that connects down there. Oh, I like what's happening. You know, you look at this, and that's very charming. And sometimes it's hard to equal a pochade because their total energy and vitality. A little more there. Oh, this is great. This Mission Creek Bridge is in Santa Barbara. I'm trying to think where it's at Oak Park. And we filmed it once. The PBS company brought their crew to Santa Barbara, and they filmed me at the beach and then at Rocky Nook Park where this was located. We'll come down into the rocks. It looks like umber here. And I have just a little umber and blue, equal parts, Lynn. And I like what it does is it allows some of this previous color to be the initial start for the highlights on the surface of the rock. We have a nice sharp one there, and then we'll come over here and do this. That blue, when I put it on, I thought, well, I'm a little generous. I probably, on another time, I wouldn't go quite as much. I want it to be that dark, but the quantity was a little generous. But it works when you blend it, when you work with it. Now let's come back with some of the green from the other side. I'll put a little bit of this. The trunks are going to come through this, so right now it looks like I'm losing the trunks. I'm going to, while I'm here, I just push this out just a little bit, a little character, so it wasn't too straight down. More of the green in here. and down lower. And let's come behind in here. Oh, I love doing this. It's just like a ball game. It's a lot of enjoyable work. Okay, let's come with the trees. And let's see, where's my good brush? You're right there. I'm going to come with Van Dyke Brown, straight. This one does come, so there's no foliage over it. I'm pulling that in just a little bit. Now, it's so often that I will comment on, in my critiquing of paintings, that these tree trunks, you know, they're wider at the bottom and they come up and they taper. They don't taper like a carrot, but they do taper. Okay, I'm going to take the same color, the Van Dyke Brown. I changed my mind. I'm going to go burnt umber, not quite as dark. And this will come just a little bit in here. And then I have a real small brush, twiggy brush. We'll let this one come. Now I'm going up a little bit past that, in through there, over to the connecting place. And it has just a little offshoot here. And this one just a little bit off there. And if it's too much, see how you can soften that. I'll go just a little stronger. And that means just a little darker, a little wider. There. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so the neighbor gets the Van Dyke Brown, and that's in here. Where are you? There you are. Now this one's just a little wider than the neighbor in front. Okay, should I connect those two? Maybe so. Like that. And then there's a little one out here. You can't see that, can you? I'll put a little of the blue and white on it. The mud color. Okay, let's give this middle one right there just a little branch coming up here and higher up here. Okay, right there. And this one, oh, did I put that in before? I guess I did. So we'll just strengthen them a little bit. And there we are. Okay, now let's go just a little bit with color. What color do I want? 2 burnt umber and 1 alizarin. 2 burnt umber and 1 alizarin. And I'll start with 2 white. Ooh, looking good. Okay, I've come with the side of the knife, and I'm going to wipe that off and do it again so you can see that's just on the edge of the knife. Boy, it's a small edge. Okay, put some there. Oh, this is going to work. I really like what that's doing. Let's put some on the neighbor. And with it, I'll go just a little higher. And even higher. Is there any on the branch going across a little bit? I think what I'll do instead, and I have the knife, I'm going to have a little of the green come across there. And I see that happening down in here too. We'll put just a little bit of the green on the knife. And I like the kind of the smear effect. When I do that, it's on the full knife, not a lot of paint. In some of these places, like the top of this one, my eye would stop there unless I did break it up a little bit with some of the green. And this is what I like so much on Danielle's. She'll kind of do that. And then look, I picked up just a little bit of the brown that went off, and that's fine. That's fine. This again, nothing on the knife. Just flat pushing around. Okay, let's come lower. I like that. Okay, its neighbor needs some too. We're in the same light, dear. Dear. And it's kind of like anything you can do, I can do better. Okay, on this one, let's push him up just a little bit. I'm even taking a little bit of the sunlight, and I'm going to put some of that on. Let's go higher, because I want it to be closer to what the bridge is. That's great. Okay, now we already have, let's see, what is that? 2 umber, 1 purple. Where are you, purple? Are you purple? You look like purple. And 2 white. And this we're going to put on the rocks a little bit. And the next one down. And then over on the important rock, which is gaining all the interest, we're going to put just a little bit of light. And I'll put some more of that rock color in to soften it a little bit. Okay, as we go up to the bridge, 2 burnt umber, 1 alizarin, 2 burnt umber, 1 alizarin, and how many white? 2 white. That's too much white. So I have 2 burnt umber, 1 alizarin, and 1 white. That's more like it. So I'm going to take on the knife, it's pretty much the lower side of it. So Lori, are you there? Yes, Buck. I just had to go to the kitchen. It's all right.
I'm here. I just couldn't find my unmute button. My trackpad wasn't working. What's up?
Oh, well, I'm kind of thinking that we'll see, but it might necessitate another time.
All right.
That's fine, Buck, whatever you want.
That's exactly right, Buck. That's exactly what I'll say. We'd be happy to come and watch you paint all day long. So if you're willing, we are willing to show up. Would everybody agree? Yeah, Billy's shaking his head. Yeah. No, that'd be great, Buck.
Okay. So I've taken blue with the knife and just kind of with the flat edge of the knife, just touching it around like that. Yeah, I would really like to do more careful work on the bridge and a couple places. So we'll plan on that. What I'll do, I'll go just a couple minutes more, and then we can ask or answer questions, ask questions.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Buck.
You bet. Okay, I'm going to take some of that bridge. Let's see, where did I put this? Um, this one on the rocks. Let's take just a little bit of it and go back. You can see it doesn't take much for it to really change in what's happening there. Yeah, I like the idea of stepping up just a little bit, and we'll make sure that happens on the next one. How we're going to do it, I don't know at this time, but we'll come up with something, whether it's a glaze or Saturday night bath, something will work. This giving just a little bit of rock work in there now. And let's go with this is our mud pack color, and I've added white in it, so it's just a little lighter. Mud pack plus 1 white. Oh, this is great. On your trees, what often happens is people will put the dark in, put a highlight in, and they sort of ignore the middle part that got just a little bit lighter than I wanted. So I'll put some dark back up there just a little bit. So it's the middle part. It can't be just light and total darkness, even though it's a subtle thing and you don't see much of it. And I'm using a little bit of the green. I really like the aspect of using some green on trunks of the trees. Okay, I believe that'd be a good place to pick it up, and we'll finish it Monday. And all I can say is thank goodness for the opportunity to make it even better. I'm going to just come right in there. That was a little wide. Okay, so what I probably should do is just blend a little bit on the lower water. So I have a dry fan brush, just pushing those around a little bit. And in pushing them around, I'm extending out the lightest light so it truly has a path through the middle, and it isn't as light on what we might call the shoulders. Are you ready to put down the brush? Just about. Just a minute, Dundee. Oh. Okay, that's it. I put down the brush.